I want you to listen closely, because what I'm about to say could change the way you see life forever. Life will test you, not because it hates you, but because it wants to know how strong you really are. It doesn't stop when you're in pain. It doesn't wait for you to catch your breath. It keeps going, and if you don't stand firm, it will sweep you away like a raging storm. And the bitter truth is, no one really cares how much pain you're in. Everyone has their own battles, their own hidden fears, their own wounds they never let anyone see. But listen to me. This isn't a reason to fall. It's an opportunity to rise. If no one comes to save you, it just means God has put the strength within you to save yourself. And there's nothing stronger than a person who refuses to be defined by their pain. You see, every time you complain, every time you talk about your pain, you're not just talking about it. You're carving it into your very being. You're telling the world that it's all you have. That pain is your identity. But what if you change the way you think? What if you use that pain to build discipline, to build resilience, to become a true warrior? Remember this, pain is not the end. It's the beginning of a great story, if you let it be. The greatest people in history were not the ones who complained, but the ones who turned adversity into strength. And now it's your turn. If this touches your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Comment, "Thank you, Jesus," as a declaration of your faith in His power. And share this message. There's someone out there who needs to hear it right now. Be a light bearer. Be part of the rising faith movement. Fire. You are stronger than you think. I want you to reflect on this. The people you admire, the ones who inspire you. Who are they? They are not the ones who drown in their misery. They are not the ones constantly seeking sympathy or waiting for someone to come and save them. They are the ones who have faced the storm, walked through the fire, endured the pain, and never bowed down. They have turned suffering into wisdom, loss into strength, and have become unshakable. And here's the truth for you. You have that same opportunity. Right now, you have a choice. You can let your struggles break you, or you can let them shape you. You can continue talking about how hard life is, or you can take that pain and turn it into a weapon, sharpen it, wield it, let it forge you into someone who can withstand anything. I know there are days when it feels like the world has turned its back on you. You cry for help, but no one answers. You wait for a miracle, but nothing changes. You ask yourself, why won't anyone help me? Why doesn't anyone care? But I need you to hear this loud and clear. If no one is coming to save you, you can save yourself. And that is the greatest power God has placed within you. Look at the Bible. Every person God called had to rise up through faith. Joseph was sold into slavery, but he didn't wait for someone to rescue him. He let God lead him. He worked with integrity, and from a slave, he became a ruler. David stood before Goliath not because he had a mighty army behind him. He had only a stone, an unshakable faith, and the courage that changed his destiny. You don't need someone to come and fix your problems. You don't need anyone to validate your strength. You already have that power inside you because God placed it there. But that power only activates when you stop seeking pity, when you stop expecting the world to change for you and start changing yourself, when you realize that no one controls your destiny but you. And when that moment comes, the world will take notice. Not because you asked for recognition, not because you begged for understanding, but because your transformation will speak for itself. People respect strength. They admire resilience. They are drawn to those who carry a fire within them that cannot be extinguished. When you become that person, the one who doesn't break, the one who doesn't fold under pressure, the one who stands tall no matter what, people will look at you with admiration. But more importantly, you will look at yourself with pride. You will realize that you don't need permission to be strong. You don't need anyone to validate your worth. That strength has been in you all along. So stop telling people about your problems. Stop giving others power over your mind and emotions. Start working. Start building. Start becoming the person you were born to be. Because one day, you will look back and understand that the struggles were never sent to destroy you. They were sent to shape you, to mold you into someone unbreakable. And when you step into the light of that transformation, remember this: you don't need anyone to save you, because God has already given you the strength to stand on your own. You were not made to complain. You were made to conquer. There is something you must understand about the nature of greatness. The ones who rise, the ones who leave a mark on history, the ones who walk with unshakable purpose, they do not waste their breath on complaints. Life does not hand out victories freely. It tests, it breaks, it challenges. But here's the truth. The greatest individuals are not those who avoid hardship, but those who transform it into power. They do not dwell on what is unfair. They do not cry over what should have been. They take what is and forge it into something greater. You will face betrayal. You will encounter people who pretend to care, only to twist your pain into their advantage. Some will listen to your struggles, not out of love, but out of curiosity, gathering ammunition for the day they decide to use it against you. And if you let that consume you, if you waste your energy on resentment, on wishing the world was kinder, you will remain shackled to the very things that were meant to strengthen you. Do you know why some people fail? Not because they are incapable, not because they lack talent, but because they allow their suffering to turn into an excuse instead of fuel. They make their struggles a justification for inaction, when in reality, those struggles were the very fire meant to refine them. The world will not always give you what you deserve, but your job is not to sit in frustration, waiting for justice to appear. Your job is to take what was meant to break you and let it build you. When the storm comes, and it will, you have two choices: become bitter or become better. Look at the greatest leaders, the strongest warriors, the ones who have shaped history. Their stories are not filled with ease and comfort. They were abandoned, ridiculed, doubted, betrayed. But instead of using their suffering as a crutch, they turned it into an unstoppable force. Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison for a crime he did not commit. He had every reason to complain, to wallow in self-pity. But instead, he rose. He sharpened his mind, refined his character, and positioned himself for destiny. And when the time came, he wasn't just set free, he ruled. Genesis 41 verse 41. David was mocked when he stepped onto the battlefield, a mere shepherd boy facing a giant, surrounded by skeptics. He could have complained. He could have let fear paralyze him. But he understood something most never do. God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. And with a single stone, he proved that true power belongs to those who act, not those who whine. 1 Samuel 17 verses 45 to 50. So let me ask you, what will you do with your pain? Will you sit in the ashes, mourning what could have been? Or will you rise from them, stronger than before? There will always be people who doubt you. There will always be obstacles in your path. But the ones who change the world, the ones who live with purpose, do not concern themselves with the opinions of the weak. You don't need validation. You don't need sympathy. You need fire. A relentless, unyielding fire that refuses to be extinguished by excuses, by setbacks, by betrayal. And that fire starts inside of you. Stop looking for an easier road. Stop wishing for a different past. Take what you have, the pain, the hardship, the rejection, and forge it into something unstoppable. You were not made to complain. You were not made to settle. You were made to conquer. Now rise. The strong do not seek attention. They let their actions speak. What defines true strength? Is it in loud words, in public displays of power, in the need for validation? Or is it in something deeper, something unshakable, something that does not need to be announced to be real? Let me ask you this. Have you ever seen a lion waste its energy proving that it is a lion? Or does it simply act as one? The strongest do not chase attention. They do not seek approval. They simply are. Yet, in today's world, too many people believe strength is about being seen. They crave recognition. They chase applause. They want the world to validate them before they even take a step forward. And that is why they remain weak, because true power does not beg for recognition. Power is not in words, it's in action. The world teaches you to seek acknowledgement. It tells you that if people don't see your struggle, your sacrifice, your pain, then it doesn't matter. But that is a lie. The greatest transformations happen in silence. The strongest battles are fought when no one is watching. Look at the men and women God raised up. Did they announce themselves? Did they demand recognition before stepping into their calling? Or did they simply walk in obedience, letting their actions speak? David did not talk about defeating Goliath. He did it. While the Israelite army trembled, he stepped forward in faith. He did not seek approval. He trusted in the power of God and took action. And it was not his words, but his victory that made the world take notice. 1 Samuel 17 verses 45 to 50. Joseph did not complain when he was betrayed by his brothers, enslaved, or imprisoned. He did not waste time seeking pity. Instead, he worked. He served. He grew in wisdom. And in due time, when God raised him up, his actions, not his words, proved his worth. Genesis 41 verse 41. Even Jesus himself did not spend his life demanding recognition. He healed, he taught, he loved, and when the time came, he laid down his life, not for applause, but for purpose. His power was never in how many recognized him, but in who he was and what he did. So why do you seek approval? Why do you wait for people to notice you before you walk in your calling? The weak chase attention, the strong build in silence. Weakness seeks validation. It needs recognition to feel worthy. But strength? Strength is different. Strength moves forward regardless of who is watching. Think of a seed buried deep in the soil. It does not demand that the world watch it grow. It does not seek attention while it is forming roots. It simply becomes. And when the time is right, when it has been strengthened in the dark, it breaks through the surface, strong, unshakable, undeniable. That is what God does with those who are truly powerful. He does not showcase them before they are ready. He hides them. He refines them. He strengthens them in silence, so that when they rise, they do not need to convince anyone of who they are. Stop seeking validation. Start seeking growth. You waste precious energy trying to be seen, trying to be understood, trying to prove your worth. But that is not where your strength comes from. Strength comes from action, from obedience, from the discipline to do what needs to be done, even when no one is watching. Ask yourself, are you living for applause, or are you living for purpose? The ones who truly change the world do not care who is watching. They focus on becoming so strong, so disciplined, so unshakable that their impact is undeniable. You do not need to announce yourself. You do not need to prove yourself. Let your results do that. Let your work speak. Let your growth be your testimony. Let your strength be so undeniable that no one can question who you are. Because at the end of the day, the world does not remember those who talked. It remembers those who acted. So stop waiting to be seen. Start becoming unstoppable. Life is unfair, but you were never meant to be a victim. Life is unfair. That is an undeniable truth. But here's a greater truth. God never called you to be a victim. Some are born into privilege. Others start with nothing. Some walk an easy path, while others battle storms from the moment they take their first breath. But what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck is not their circumstances. It's their response. So, let me ask you, what will you do with what you've been given? Will you sit in resentment, waiting for justice? Or will you rise, knowing that God has already equipped you for the battle ahead? Your struggles are not an excuse. They are a test. When Joseph was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison for a crime he didn't commit, did he sit in self-pity? Did he waste years complaining about how unfair life was? No. He worked, he grew, he prepared. And when the time came, he wasn't just released from prison. He was raised to power. Genesis 41 verse 41. David was just a shepherd boy, overlooked and underestimated. When he stepped onto the battlefield against Goliath, the world saw an underdog. But God saw a warrior. And David? He did not hesitate. He didn't beg for fairness. He seized his moment. 1 Samuel 17 verses 45 to 50. Even Jesus himself, the Son of God, faced betrayal, suffering, and the weight of the world's sin. Did he cry out about how unfair it was? No. He walked straight into his purpose, knowing that the pain of the cross would lead to the power of the resurrection. John 19 verse 30, Matthew 28 verse 6. So what's your excuse? No one is coming to save you, because you were built to overcome. The world doesn't owe you an easy path. And even if it did, an easy path would never make you strong. We live in a culture where people expect rescue. They wait for the right circumstances, the right opportunities, the right people to come along and make their life easier. But let me tell you something. Waiting is a slow form of dying. No one is coming to save you, because God has already placed everything you need inside of you. You have the power to rise. You have the authority to break generational curses. You have the strength to overcome. But none of that matters if you refuse to take ownership of your life. Responsibility is hard, but regret is harder. People reject responsibility because it's uncomfortable, because it forces them to confront the truth that no matter how unfair life has been, their future is still in their hands. And yes, Taking ownership is difficult, but do you know what's harder? Waking up every day knowing you could have done more. Living with the weight of wasted potential. Watching others rise while you stay the same, because you refuse to move. You think discipline is hard? Try carrying regret. You think stepping into your calling is scary? Try facing the day when you realize you ran from it. God gave you free will. That means you get to choose. But make no mistake, not choosing is a choice. You can either take responsibility now, or you can suffer the consequences of avoiding it. Excuses or elevation, you can't have both. Too many people hold on to their excuses like a shield, thinking it protects them from failure. But all it really does is keep them small. If you want change, you need to stop feeding your excuses and start feeding your faith. Stop saying, "I can't," and start asking, "How will I?" Stop blaming the past and start creating the future. Stop waiting for life to be fair and start becoming so strong that fairness is irrelevant. God did not create you for mediocrity. He did not breathe life into you so you could waste it. You were built for impact. You were made for more. So rise, take responsibility, and step into the life that was meant for you. Silence holds power. Are you listening? Have you ever noticed that the strongest people are not the loudest? That those who command the most respect do not demand it? What if I told you that real power is found in silence, in the ability to move without announcing, to grow without seeking validation, to endure without complaint? In a world where everyone is shouting for attention, where people measure their worth by likes, comments, and recognition, the ones who truly rise are those who do not chase applause. They move in silence. They build in the unseen. They grow in the hidden places. And when they emerge, the world does not question their strength. It recognizes it. Strength speaks louder than words. Think about the people you admire. Are they the ones who constantly complain? The ones who broadcast every hardship, seeking validation at every turn? Or are they the ones who push through? The ones who keep going despite the pain? You already know the answer. The world does not respect those who beg for attention. It respects those who earn it. And this is not just human nature. It is a spiritual principle. Jesus, the greatest leader who ever walked this earth, never needed to prove himself. He healed the sick, calmed storms, and raised the dead, not for recognition, but because he was sent to fulfill a mission. And even when he stood before those who mocked him, who falsely accused him, he remained silent, not because he was weak, but because he was in control. Matthew 26, verse 63. He knew that true authority does not require defense. It is self-evident. Do you have that kind of strength? The kind that does not need approval? The kind that does not crumble when overlooked? Because if you are constantly seeking validation, you are giving away your power. The hidden growth of the mighty. A seed does not grow by announcing itself. It is buried, hidden beneath the soil, unseen by the world. And in that darkness, it strengthens. It sends down roots before it ever reaches for the sky. But imagine if the seed refused to grow unless someone was watching. Imagine if it said, "No one sees me, so why should I push through?" It would never become the mighty tree it was created to be. That is exactly how many people live. They refuse to grow in silence. They refuse to endure unless someone acknowledges their struggle. They want recognition before they've built resilience. But here is the truth. God does his greatest work in the unseen places. Before Joseph ruled Egypt, he was hidden in a prison. Before Moses led Israel, he spent 40 years in the wilderness. Before David became king, he was tending sheep in obscurity. They did not seek attention, they sought preparation. And when their moment came, they did not have to prove themselves. Their strength had already been forged in the silence. Stop seeking validation, start seeking mastery. Too many people waste their energy trying to be seen instead of becoming someone worth noticing. They complain that no one supports them, no one recognizes their struggle, no one appreciates their effort. But tell me this, are you working for approval, or are you working for transformation? Do you want applause, or do you want strength? Do you want recognition, or do you want mastery? Do you want sympathy, or do you want results? Because you cannot have both. Respect is earned in the quiet places. Look at the most powerful figures in history. They did not beg for attention. They let their actions demand it. People do not follow weakness. They do not admire those who broadcast every setback, who seek pity instead of perseverance. They are drawn to those who endure, to those who take responsibility instead of seeking excuses, to those who stand unshaken, even when unseen. So what kind of person will you be? Will you be the one who waits for recognition? Or will you be the one who moves forward even when no one is watching? Because the truth is, when you carry your burdens with dignity, when you build your strength in silence, people will notice. And when they do, it will not be because you begged for attention. It will be because your results made it impossible to ignore. Your actions will speak for you. Stop explaining. Stop complaining. Stop waiting for the world to validate you. Because the strongest do not ask for respect. They prove they deserve it. And that kind of respect, it lasts. Train yourself to become an unstoppable force. Real strength isn't something you find, and it's not something anyone hands to you. It doesn't come from luck, circumstances, or the approval of others. It's something you build with your own hands, through every small decision you make, through the way you face challenges, through the way you forge yourself day after day until you become a force that nothing can shake. You want respect? Become someone worth respecting. You want success? Train yourself so that no failure can stop you. People talk about motivation like it's the key to everything. But here's the truth. Motivation is nothing more than a fleeting spark. It might give you a push, but it fades. Motivation gets you started, but only discipline keeps you going. Successful people don't rely on bursts of inspiration. They rely on systems. They build discipline into their lives so deeply that they don't have to think. They just do. They make perseverance their default setting. You might think you're not capable of that you're not the kind of person who can wake up early, train every day, work relentlessly to climb higher. You're wrong. You weren't born strong, but you can become strong. People admire resilience, but they don't realize that resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you forge over time, through pain, through setbacks, through the choice to get up again and again. No one starts out with an unbreakable mindset. They train it. And if they can do it, so can you. Every day, you have two choices. Keep delaying, keep making excuses, keep waiting for the right time, or start building the person you want to be. And make no mistake, no one else can do that for you. No one is going to pull you out of bed in the morning. No one is going to force you to focus. No one is going to make you better accept you. Success isn't a mystery. It's the repetition of the right actions, even when you don't feel like doing them. Do you know why most people fail? It's not because they lack talent. It's because they quit too easily. They can't handle discomfort. They fear hardship. They let their emotions dictate their actions instead of their discipline. They wait until they feel like it to take action, but feelings are unreliable. Successful people don't work only when they're in the mood. They work because they made a commitment to themselves. They don't negotiate with laziness. You want to change your life? Start today. There is no perfect plan, no perfect timing. There is only action. Set higher standards for yourself. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you set a goal, pursue it at all costs. Stop talking about what you want. Prove it with your actions. Don't let another day pass without progress. Don't look back in regret, realizing you wasted your time. Training yourself isn't just about the body, it's about the mind. Your body can be pushed to the limit, but your mind decides whether or not you stop. Every weakness begins in the mind. If you tell yourself you're tired, you'll feel tired. If you tell yourself you can't do it, you won't. But if you train your mind to reject excuses, to reject failure, to reject the easy way out, you will become unstoppable. Ever wonder why some people seem to never stop? Why they can endure pain, struggle, and still keep moving? Because they have trained themselves to accept no alternative but forward. For them, quitting is not an option. You can become that kind of person, but only if you stop looking for shortcuts. You want a better life? Become a better person. You want strength? Train it every single day. You want success? Build discipline and never let your emotions control your actions. The world owes you nothing. If you want something, you have to fight for it. You have to be willing to endure the pain of growth, because if you don't, you will suffer the pain of regret. There are no shortcuts. There are no miracles. There is only relentless training, day in and day out. And if you truly want to become an unstoppable force, you must live by that principle. No exceptions, no excuses, only action. Redefining failure. Perseverance matters more than instant victory. Failure isn't the end. It's not a reason to quit. It's not a mark of shame. The only people who never fail are the ones who never try, and those people live in the shadow of regret. The truth is, failure is inevitable, but what you do with it determines everything. You either let it define you, or you use it as fuel. You either let it break you, or you let it build you. That choice is yours, and it's a choice you make every single time life knocks you down. Most people fear failure because they think it says something about who they are. They treat it like a final verdict, as if falling short in a moment means they are destined to fall short forever. That's a lie. The most successful people in history weren't the ones who never failed. They were the ones who refused to let failure stop them. They failed more times than most people even tried, but they kept going. They understood that failure is nothing more than feedback, a brutal but necessary teacher. Every loss carries a lesson, and those who learn from it are the ones who rise above. The reason most people stay stuck isn't because they aren't capable, but because they give up too soon. They try once, maybe twice, and when things don't go their way, they convince themselves it wasn't meant to be. They look for an easier path, something that doesn't require risk, something that doesn't make them uncomfortable. And that's why they never grow. Growth comes from struggle, from pushing beyond what's easy, from refusing to back down even when the odds are against you. The world doesn't reward people who quit. It rewards those who endure. If you think success is about avoiding failure, you're playing the wrong game. Success is about resilience. It's about getting knocked down and getting back up so many times that eventually, nothing can keep you down. It's about learning to take a punch and keep moving forward. It's about understanding that the only way to truly fail is to stop trying. Think about anyone you admire, anyone who has achieved something remarkable. Do you think they got there without setbacks? Without rejection? Without moments where they doubted themselves? No. The difference is they kept going. They didn't let temporary defeat turn into permanent failure. They saw every challenge as a test, every loss as a lesson, and every setback as an opportunity to come back stronger. Perseverance is what separates those who make it from those who don't. It's not talent, not intelligence, not luck. It's the relentless refusal to quit. People love to look at winners and assume they were just born different. But they weren't. The only difference is they didn't stop when things got hard. They didn't wait for perfect conditions, for the right timing, for someone to rescue them. They took responsibility. They adjusted, they learned, they adapted, and they kept going no matter what. So the question is, how do you handle failure? Do you let it define you, or do you use it? Do you let one setback turn into a lifetime of regret, or do you see it for what it is, just another step on the path forward? The truth is, you don't lose when you fail. You lose when you decide to stay down. You lose when you stop pushing. You lose when you let fear keep you from taking another shot. Some people spend their whole lives avoiding failure, playing it safe, staying in their comfort zone, never risking enough to actually grow. And then they wonder why they feel stuck. They wonder why they aren't getting anywhere. They don't realize that failure is not the problem. Fear is. Fear of looking foolish. Fear of what other people will think. Fear of proving to themselves that they aren't as strong as they hoped. But here's what they don't understand. Failing doesn't make you weak. Quitting does. There is no shame in failing. There is only shame in giving up. If you're willing to endure failure, to learn from it, to let it sharpen you instead of break you, then nothing can stop you. Because perseverance is a skill. It's something you train, something you strengthen, something that, over time, makes you unstoppable. And the more you push through failure, the less it scares you. You stop seeing it as a threat and start seeing it as an opportunity. So embrace it. Expect it. Know that if you're pushing yourself, if you're aiming higher, if you're reaching beyond what you think you're capable of, you will fail. And that's not a problem. It's proof that you're growing. The only thing worse than failing is never trying at all. The only thing worse than falling is never knowing if you could have stood back up. You have a choice. You can be like most people, afraid to fail, afraid to take risks, afraid to put in the work and come up short. Or you can be different. You can refuse to let failure define you. You can keep pushing no matter what. You can commit to showing up day after day, even when it's hard, even when you don't see immediate results, even when the world doubts you. Because the truth is, the only real failure is quitting. Everything else is just part of the process. So don't give up. Don't slow down. Don't let a single loss make you forget who you are and what you're capable of. Keep going. Keep fighting. Keep proving to yourself and to the world that you are stronger than any setback, tougher than any challenge, and more relentless than any obstacle. If you can do that, if you can commit to perseverance above all else, then no failure, no rejection, no hardship will ever be enough to stop you. Because no matter how many times you fall, you will always rise again. Become a force of influence, personal power that shapes the world. Strength is never just about you. True power doesn't stop at personal achievement. It radiates outward, shaping everything and everyone around you. The people who leave a mark on this world aren't just the ones who succeed. They're the ones who lift others up, who challenge the status quo, who set a standard so high that others are forced to rise to meet it. The difference between someone who merely exists and someone who leaves a legacy isn't just in what they accomplish. It's in how they influence the world around them. Look at history. Look at the names people remember. They weren't just strong individuals. They were forces of nature. They didn't just win for themselves. They inspired movements, shifted perspectives, changed lives. Why? Because true strength isn't silent. It doesn't hide in the shadows. It doesn't play small. It commands attention, not by demanding it, but by earning it. When you embody power, real, undeniable, unshakable power, people take notice. Not because you ask them to, but because strength is magnetic. The world doesn't need more spectators. It doesn't need more people waiting for permission to be great. It needs leaders. It needs individuals who are willing to stand up, take charge, and set the tone for everyone around them. If you want to be one of those people, then understand this. Your influence starts with you. You can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. You can't inspire others if you haven't mastered your own discipline, your own mindset, your own resilience. You don't need a title to be a leader. You don't need recognition. Leadership isn't about authority, it's about impact. The way you carry yourself, the way you handle challenges, the way you push forward even when it's hard. That's what makes people look to you. That's what makes people respect you. You set the standard by the way you live your life. When you hold yourself to a higher level of discipline, when you refuse to break under pressure, when you demand more from yourself than anyone else ever could, you don't just elevate your own life. You give others permission to do the same. People watch more than they listen. They hear what you say, but they follow what you do. If you constantly complain, they'll learn that complaining is acceptable. If you blame others, they'll believe excuses are valid. But if you show up every day with discipline, if you handle adversity with composure, if you attack your goals with relentless energy, people will notice. And the ones who are ready to step up will rise with you. The strongest people don't just survive hardship. They transform it into something bigger than themselves. They don't just overcome. They set an example for others to follow. That's what it means to be a force of influence. It's not about being famous. It's not about being liked. It's about making an undeniable impact simply by the way you live your life. You have to decide, are you going to be someone who drifts through life, blending in, making no real difference? Or are you going to be the person who walks into a room and elevates everyone around them? Are you going to let the world shape you? Or are you going to shape the world? This isn't about ego. It's not about being better than anyone else. It's about stepping into your full potential and refusing to play small. It's about understanding that the way you show up in the world has a ripple effect, whether you realize it or not. The energy you bring, the example you set, the discipline you embody, it influences more than just you. If you've ever been inspired by someone, if you've ever looked up to someone who made you want to be better, then you understand what true influence is. It's not about words, it's about action. It's about presence. It's about a level of excellence that demands respect, not because it asks for it, but because it commands it. Becoming a person of influence isn't something you wait for, it's something you earn. You earn it through the consistency of your character, through the way you carry yourself when no one is watching, through the way you handle success, and more importantly, the way you handle failure. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be relentless. You have to show the world what's possible by proving it through your own actions. This world is filled with people waiting for motivation, waiting for the right time, waiting for someone else to step up first. But real leaders don't wait. They move. They act. They set the standard. They become the example. And in doing so, they give others the courage to do the same. So ask yourself, what kind of impact do you want to have? How do you want to be remembered? Because whether you realize it or not, you are shaping the world around you every single day. The way you talk, the way you work, the way you handle adversity, people see it. They absorb it. They respond to it. If you want to be a force of influence, then stop playing small. Stop waiting for permission. Stop hoping someone else will lead the way. Step up. Set the tone. Be the one who moves first, the one who stands tall, the one who proves through action that nothing is impossible. Because when you become that person, when you embrace that level of strength, you don't just change your own life. You change everything around you. You elevate the people who are ready to rise. You set a new standard. You become a force that cannot be ignored. And that is what it means to truly make an impact. Turn your pain into power. Pain is inevitable. Hardship is a guarantee. Life will test you in ways you never asked for, never expected, and never felt prepared to endure. But here's the truth. Pain alone does not define you. Your response to it does. You can let it break you. Let it consume you. Let it turn you into someone who spends their life blaming, complaining, resenting. Or you can take that pain and forge it into something unstoppable. You can turn it into fuel. Let it sharpen your mind, harden your spirit, and transform you into someone who doesn't just survive hardship, but thrives because of it. And that choice? It's yours. Victim or victor, you decide. Life has never been easy. It wasn't meant to be. And yet, people waste their time seeking sympathy, waiting for the world to fix their problems, hoping that someone will see their suffering and make it disappear. That moment isn't coming. No one is coming to save you. Most people don't care. And some will even use your pain against you. Harsh. Maybe. But once you accept it, you become dangerous. Because the moment you stop expecting life to be fair, the moment you take full responsibility for who you are and where you're headed, everything changes. You grow. You adapt. You rise. You stop looking for an escape and start building the kind of person who can handle anything. Strength is earned, not given. The world does not respect excuses. It does not reward weakness. It respects resilience. It honors those who refuse to be broken, those who carry their burdens without seeking applause, those who turn their struggles into stepping stones instead of shackles. So take your pain, take your failures, take every setback, every disappointment, every battle scar, and turn them into fire. Rise, not because it's easy, not because it's fair, but because you refuse to be anything less than unstoppable.